we had no deadline for the first record or for this second one, really. But had we not made the conscious choice to say, like, hey, we need to stop messing around with this thing and just like finish it, that was mostly on my end. I just, re-recording guitars for the third or fourth time, or, buying this pedal that I'm 100% sure is going to fix everything. That's that sort of thing. But it was all good, man. It was, I'm extremely happy with the finished product. Hearing it now, I don't see how it could have been done any other way. I like to say it's the journey, not the destination.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy from GhostCultMag.com. I am super stoked to be joined by Jeff Tuttle of Shock Narcotic. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. What a big time for you. And the band just got off tour with Pantera and Monomarth, which we covered one of those shows in Long Island. My partner Omar went out and reviewed the show and covered the band and made sure to get there early as a fan of your band also, and a fan of all the guys in your band. So what was that experience like for you?
I mean, that's like every dream that I had as like a 10-year-old kid, like coming true. You know what I mean? I grew up a big Pantera fan. Hearing Cowboys from Hell for the first time was like a game changer for me. Never heard anything quite like that. Probably, I mean, in all honesty, still haven't heard anything quite like that. They just have a way of doing things that is completely their own style. So yeah, been a huge fan for a very, very long time. Sharing the stage with them was an incredible experience.
Right on. And even though you guys are a little bit heavier probably than the average Pantera fan, or even a Monomarth, as brutal as they started out, I feel like they've kind of found a lane to be in for maybe the last decade. But hopefully people showed up early and supported. I think it's well known that, Philip, the last few years since Pantera has had this resurgence and tribute reunion, has put housecore bands on. You guys are on the housecore label, which has, all killers, bands that I love, including one of the bands of your bandmate, Child Bite, another Detroit band that I'm a huge fan of. I love Shawn so much as a person and as a vocalist. And Philip has been a great mentor to those bands. I've interviewed quite a few people associated with the label, and it seems like everybody's had the same experience. Like whatever he can do to put you forward, he will.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's crazy for as long as he's been doing it, and however many tens of thousands of bands that he's heard in his life, he still hasn't heard enough. He's still out there scouring the earth, pun intended, for stuff that he's into, stuff that excites him, all that stuff, man. It's the only way to do it, if you ask me, because as fans of music, what's better than finding that new exciting thing, and some people lose that. Some people get older and they've seen it all, they've heard it all, so what's the point, right? But I don't ever feel like I'm going to be that way. I'm always on the lookout for new stuff, and just seeing somebody of Phil's stature still out there doing it makes me feel good. That he sets a good example. And there's not a lot of people at his level that are still out there repping as hard as he does.
Right on. I see what you did there, scouring the earth. And then in general, like obviously coming on first, setting up I will say that like the few times that I've seen Pantera in the last few years, they, it's not like the old days where like, the PA is only half on for the opening band and the sound guy doesn't care. It seems like the production is full on every band. And it's nice to get afforded that. Again, we're not kids anymore. It's nice to be afforded that grown-up respect.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, we traveled with our own sound guy, no limitations as far as I know, which, like you said, that's a very common thing, whether it's like, DB limit, or you're not allowed to use the subs or something, because at the end of the day, we could be 10 times louder, but we're still not Pantera. You know what I mean? We don't have the pyro show. We don't have those massive rigs that they have up on stage. I mean, they do it up, man. It's I went out to Grand Rapids to see them the first time they came through Michigan. My wife and I drove out, and I tried not to have any expectations, because sometimes with these reunion type tours, they can be a little bit of a letdown, a disappointment. If anything, I think they've raised the bar, all respect obviously to the Abbott brothers, but I mean, you got Zach Wilde, you got Charlie Benante. I mean, I don't know if there's any other two people that could have stepped into those shoes and done them justice, man. They're just out there crushing it, man. And I could watch it every single day and not get sick of it.
Right on. I love hearing that. I'm personally been on record as saying like I close my eyes and I hear Vinny when I hear that drum kit, just sounding just like Vince's drums.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Daryl is extremely hard to replace. And those guys are like brothers to the
Hmm.
brothers. They were brothers, close, very close friends. So I think it's really special. And I'm glad you got to experience that. Just out of curiosity, before I delve into a few other things, was there anything you personally needed to adjust to play these big amphitheaters? I've been to the Jones Beach venue myself a bunch of times. It's cavernous and the sound is not always favorable to a very aggressive heavy band. But did you have to change anything about your personal playing style or maybe the rest of the band in terms of just adapting to those type of venues?
No, I didn't. I really didn't. My days with Dillinger kind of, we ran the gamut from everything to, I mean, we played a couple of basement shows that were insane, highly unsafe in retrospect. All the way to like playing places similar to the Jones Beach. So I've got, I'm comfortable at most levels, I didn't have any doubt that I'd be able to go out there and just kind of do my thing without any problems. We had a good crew with us. The Panteras crew honestly was very helpful. They were accommodating. They made us feel welcome. So that's always a big help too.
Right on. You love to hear it. Again, I've heard nothing but the best about them
Yeah.
from many sources. So I'm glad they're taking a lot of care and everything is being done. I don't think they would bother if it wasn't going to be right. They're
Right.
not going to half-ass anything. As we say here at Ghost Cult, we full ass everything. So like, I don't think they would half-ass anything if it wasn't going to be just so and
Sure.
rewarding for the fans and a tribute to the brothers. But I digress. Before we talk about the recently released new album, let me dial it back for a second. This is our first time meeting and talking. And I feel like we met. I followed Dillinger super heavily through all eras, and so like I saw the band a bunch when you were in the band. I love Option Paralysis, probably one of my favorites. Top 2, 3 records from them, and but how did this band is it's wild how this band is loaded with like a sort of Avengers Assemble of underground metal in the best way. And I know obviously you got some Detroit guys in there, so that helps you, Michigan peeps. But how did you guys put it together for the first record back in the day?
Shawn and I have been friends for a long time. He was the common denominator. He was friends with Don. I was familiar with Battlecross, had never met Don, I was familiar with Zach Gibson's work with his band Shit Life. So I was, his drumming. I was big fan of his style. And Shawn and I, we've been wanting to do something for a long time. We've talked about it for whatever reason. It never worked out. And then, he came to me one day and he's like, I think I got it. I think I got the one that's going to work, So he linked us all together. We got into a room a couple times, jammed out a few things, and then went right into writing that first record. So like everything with that first record happened super fast. From the formation of the band to writing and releasing the record. It was a very quick process. It was unlike anything that I had ever done before. Prior to that, it was always banging it out in a practice space for hours and hours and hours and taking months and months and months to write. This one, we kind of with the writing, it was almost more of like a stream of consciousness type of approach where pressing record, playing some riffs and seeing what came out and then working with that, not a whole lot of thought, not a lot of second guessing happening with that one, which was a lot of fun for me. Like I said, I'd never taken that kind of approach. So it was different, and it was different kind of energy, and it was exciting.
Rad. I love to hear it. And yeah, that first record was all bangers, and then obviously the whole world stopped. So any plans that you probably had, it was good to get a record out. We couldn't know, right? But right at that year, right at the end of that year, it was good to get a record out before everything kind of went to shit.
Right.
And a very good time for introverts, not a great time for extroverts or people who like to play music in front of people. But then I imagine you had time to kind of, foment and work on this new record.
Yeah, yeah. We were already thinking about the second record around the time the first one came out. We were like, let's just ride this wave. We got some good support shows. We were doing some festivals and stuff. So it was kind of like a now or never situation. So we're like, let's just keep this ball rolling. Yeah. And then the ball just completely stopped along with everything else. So yeah, bit of a letdown in that regard, but it was a good time to take the opposite approach of the first record and really marinate on things a lot and take those second guesses and those third guesses about the direction that a song could go in. The intention was definitely never for it to take 6 years, but what are you going to do? It is what it is. If we didn't make the conscious choice, we had no deadline for the first record or for this second one, really. But had we not made the conscious choice to say like, hey, we need to stop messing around with this thing and just like finish it. That was mostly on my end. I just, re-recording guitars for the third or fourth time, or, buying this pedal that I'm 100% sure is going to fix everything. That's that sort of thing. But it was all good, man. It was, I'm extremely happy with the finished product. Hearing it now, I don't see how it could have been done any other way. I like to say it's the journey, not the destination.
Right on. I appreciate that, especially as a recovering perfectionist, where I battle with myself all the time about letting things go or not being able to. I really, honestly, I really respect that, because I think I know it's a cliche that the proof is in the pudding, but the proof is really in the pudding here. My Flesh is Afraid, but I Am Not is the new recently released album, nicely timed for the tour. And
Yeah.
it's all bangers again, man. And considering all the players and the parts, right? Obviously, you write how you write, and I don't know if I know you have other interests, filmmaking and other things, probably other projects we don't know about. But obviously, all the players are busy. Slater's a huge session guy. Jarvis, of course, we know. Shawn, also is all the time busy. So, like, how do you write together? Do you come in, you and Shawn, again, back to the lab, the two of you, and then share it with everybody else? Did you put down a lot of stuff in pre-pro and demo, which is what I suspect first? How do you kind of put it all together in the big gumbo?
Yeah. We figured out pretty early on with the first record that the way that we worked best is I would write the guitars and really shape the tracks. And then Shawn, Don, and Zach for the first one, Adam for the second one, put their personality onto it, And then, if anybody has any like major ideas or like, hey, maybe we try it this way, there was very little of that, but it did happen. But for the most part, it was an easy process. And I actually joked towards the beginning of the band where I was like, I didn't know that being in a band could be this easy, because art is supposed to be hard, right? It's supposed to be painful. I think it's easy to get lost in that kind of mindset that, it's all sweat and blood and everything, but it doesn't have to be. You can have fun with it, and it's a good workflow. And I've worked on other projects in the past where, you record the demo, and then when you go in, it's time to go in and record the real thing. And then you're like disappointed because you're like, well, I like the way the demo sounds. This doesn't sound like the demo anymore. So the demoing process doubles as, these are going to be the finished guitars, at some point, which I think worked really well because, yeah, there's going to be things that you capture that you can't be replicated, under any circumstances. So yeah, you get those little bits that you just don't want to let go of when you're recording in more like that traditional sense. So I chose to just, let's just get rid of that. Let's record it. I want to hear it this way and only this way. And yeah, I don't see us going about it any other way at this point. I think we found our workflow and I think it works.
Right on. Out of curiosity, because obviously if you demo and pre-pro stuff before you present it to people, you in your mind, you're like, I hear it this way. Did anybody surprise you once they got to put on their own parts or contribute? Like, was
Oh
there a
yeah.
particular performance or anything that just took you by surprise and improved the idea you had?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll do like demo drums in MIDI, but my brain doesn't work the way that Adam's brain works, so they're like sketches to say like, here's the general outline, but I want, definitely add your flavor to it, man. And then on definitely on Mass Suicide in Progress, there's that extended bridge section where I basically told Don, like, if you think you're doing too much, I can guarantee that you're not. And what he ended up delivering was just, I mean, I love it. He's such an incredibly talented bass player. So letting him like kind of have free reign and just let go, and just explode. You can hear it in the performance, man. It's wild.
Right on. I was going to say Jarvis is a beast and he doesn't even look like, I know he's like concentrating, fully immersed when he's performing, but just having watched him a lot, it doesn't look like he's even trying hard to be awesome.
Yeah.
I think he's just naturally gifted. And I was going to say, I'm really glad about you told that Don story because I feel like as wildly incredible as he is and versatile, I think there are songs where he lays back and really, sits back in the groove and is not overplaying at all and is kind of
Yeah.
playing for the song, which I don't think he gets to do a lot of because people want him for whatever
Yeah.
wild shit he can do.
For sure. For sure. And that's why there's a time and a place for bands like that where it's just like an entire band of people going off the entire time. To me, that can kind of, I don't know, it gets old. It's not, stuff like that is not a lot of times the stuff that I'll put on when I'm driving in the car or something, because you need the interplay of both because it makes those parts where there is that explosion and the fury of notes. It makes, to me, the contrast makes it accentuates everything, and that's definitely when, once we kind of figured out the potential of like what we could do and what we wanted to do with Shock Narcotic, that was definitely part of the discussion where it's like, yeah, let's get, especially more so on this second record, like let's do some longer form songs. Let's really get into a groove. We don't always have to play 1,000 notes per second. Let the riffs breathe a little bit, and then when it's time, Adam, blast your to your heart's content, or Don, just do this. Whatever you do, this that sounds so awesome, do that.
More of that, please. I
Yeah,
also want to say it's a little unfair for me to talk about Shawn because again, I just like I just love that dude so much, and I love his vocals. His vocal performance on here is not just great; it's very unique from his other work, and I feel like the material allowed him to stretch out over it a little better. And I don't recall if you've written any lyrics for this stuff because I know you did in the past. If it's all Shawn, but tremendous storytelling, at least song to song. And I love that he can go from his hardcore scream to like death metal to almost like a Neil Fallon singing, which I really didn't know he could do that well. I've heard him do it, but not as well as here. So I just want to single out him again, a little
yeah,
unfair. I am biased at how much I really adore that guy, but like what a great performance.
yeah, yeah. And it was funny when Shawn was laying down his vocals. He was working with this guy named Zach Ships, phenomenal dude. He's worked with Shawn many, many times. And at one point he just kind of turned around after a take and was like, I didn't know that you could do that. Just because the performance, well, I mean, as artists, you never want to like go down the same path over and over again. So with Jock, he definitely wanted to separate what he does with us versus what he does with Child Bite. there's going to be some crossover, but yeah, the performances, there's more rasp, there's more aggression in the performances to kind of give that separation, and I think it works really well.
Right on. And I think, obviously having that second album, knowing Shawn so well, even before this band, helps you write with him in mind. Because I think that's a thing that gets overlooked. Like if you have the ability to write with somebody in mind, like, Jarvis is incredible and you could have gave him anything and he can play it, right? But I think like a singer has the opportunity, especially with the material, to kind of stand out and take it someplace else you didn't expect, kind of like an actor with a screenplay. I always say like a good actor can make a bad screenplay into a good movie, but sometimes not vice versa. Shawn is one of those guys who I really feel like he can take something given to him and do a wild amount of variation on it and improve and craft on top of. It's not something that comes naturally to most vocalists. I was one, or I am one, sort of. Yeah, right. He's just so killer, and I really love what he did with this music. And I get greedily make more. Like, please make more.
Oh, yeah.
You just did this one, but make another one just for me.
Yeah, we're planning to take 12 years for this next one, so keep an eye on
Well,
that.
hopefully there won't be another fucking global pandemic, but you never know with these yo-yos in charge. We're probably doomed. But in the meantime, apocalyptic music more. Let's just spoon feed it into me. That's how I cope. But what else you have going on? Obviously, you did the record release show and this Pantera Monomarth tour. Do you have any other things you can talk about? What else is going on with you personally that you
We
can
don't
share?
have anything at the moment. We have nothing else lined up. The good thing about having a guy like Adam Jarvis in your band is you've got Adam Jarvis in your band. But then at the same time, Adam Jarvis is in like 1,000 bands and he lives in Baltimore. So that definitely complicates things. We'll have some more stuff happening soon. Nothing on the books right now, but yeah, right now we're just kind of enjoying the reception that this new record's been getting. It's been really positive so far, and after such a long wait, we're just glad that people are able to hear it and stuff, and that it finally did see the light of day.
I like to end these with a wild card question. So I asked a buddy of mine to chip in and ask me to ask you if you could be any character from The Wizard of Oz, which one would you be?
I mean, my immediate knee-jerk reaction was to say the Tin Man because he's metal as fuck.
I love it. I love it so much. Sometimes you just got to get wacky and ask something out of the realm of normalness. Thank you, Zach, for the question. Thank you, Jeff,
Yeah, man.
for this interview. I really appreciate you. Congratulations on the new album and everything else, man.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you. Thank you.